Hi friends, it's Becky, and today I thought we would do some bead stringing using beading thread. Usually use beading thread for things like doing bead weaving or bead embroidery or other things like that, but you can also string with it. And so we're going to do that because there's some fun things that you can do with thread that if you got some thread in your Potomac Beads kit and you're like, what am I going to do with the thread? I don't want to do bead weaving. I don't want to go around and do all of those things. We'll do some of that, and we'll use some of the beads that came in the kit. I am in love with these leaf beads. Take a look at those. They are super, super pretty. So we're going to be using these as part of our design. There were some beads that came in a mix that I'm going to be putting together. And I'm going to be using these curved beads that came in my mix. And because they're mixes, you might not have gotten as many of these as I got, or you might have more. I also got this nuggety Czech glass bead in my bead mix and some fire polish beads. So I'm going to be using them as well. And then there were some fire polish beads that came on a strand, and they were these, I think these are 4mm fire polish beads, so we're going to be using those. And in the kit, or in the bead box, this is the Treasure bead box, Enchanted Forest from Potomac Beads. In the box we had these 11 seed beads. They're the Azuki ones, but I also, in the last bead box that we got, the one prior to this, there were these Toho rainbow iris ones, and so I'm going to be using both of these in this design. So we're going to be using some seed beads, we're going to be using some Czech glass beads, and we're going to string a little design. I'm going to be using these in a focal, and I'm just going to start from one end and go through, do my focal, go up the other side, and then we're going to come back and add a little bit extra on our way back. So we're going to need a lot of thread for that, which we got in here. They gave us this blue thread. Before I start stringing though, I want to go over some of the additional bits that I'm going to be using in addition to the beads. Because there's some like bronze tones in some of these beads, I grabbed an antique bronze closure, and I'm going to be using some wire guards for that. So wire guards are an essential thing to have when you are doing stringing with thread as opposed to wire. You can use it with wire too, but definitely with that. And then I set aside a couple of beads to do as earrings after we're done. So we'll make a necklace and earrings today using beading thread and these beads that came in the treasure box. So I don't know if you saw me, I just put my needle underneath the thread to pull it out of this tape on the bottom so that I can start unwinding it. And as far as needles that go, we're not going to be doing any tight bead weaving or anything. We're not going to be doing multiple passes through really tight holes. So you can use a thicker and stronger beading needle if you want. This is just one that I had on my mat, so I'm going to use that. You could use a large eye needle. You can use whatever beading needle that you have. I'm going to pull off about a wingspan of this. That's where I'm going to hold this end in this hand and this spool in this hand. I'm going to spread them apart like I'm 5 years old and telling somebody how much I love them. And that is your wingspan. I love beading this much. So once I've got my end, and this thread doesn't need to be pre-stretched. It's already pre-stretched, and it's waxed. Very gently waxed. It's very similar to like Miyuki beading thread or 1G. I'd say it's very comparable. So what I'm going to do here, let's scooch in a little bit so that we can needle our thread. Just going to make it a little bit easier to do by taking my chain nose pliers, just kind of flattening that thread with it a little bit, just the end of it. See how that makes it a little bit flatter? It's going to make it go through a little bit easier when I go to thread it. And I'm going to take my beading needle, make sure I can see the eye, just kind of wiggle it over my thread, and then drop it, so I have to start all over again. I don't think that actually went through. So some things that help is holding it closer to your face, but I can't do that because I am holding it in front of the camera. We're tightening up on it, and because that'll help control it a little bit more as it goes through. There it is. Alright, so now that I've got my thread, I'm going to start by using a bead that I'm not using in my design. I'm going to turn it into a stop bead, and this is just a bead from the box. I could use a bead for my stash. I'm choosing this one because it's going to be pretty easy to take off the end. And I'm going to move it down near the end of my thread, but not all the way at the end. I'm going to want to leave a bit of a tail here. I'd say maybe 5 or 6 inches. And to make it into a stop bead, I'm just going to go around that bead one more time with my thread. Helps if it goes through the hole. That's a pro tip. Put the needle through the hole. And see how it's just gone around like that. It's not going to hold it from me pulling on it. It will move if I do that, but it will keep the beads from swinging off if I'm swinging my my needle and all of that around. So let's get our beads here. I'm going to stay zoomed in so that you can see what I'm doing, because when you're doing things with a beading needle, it can be a little bit hard to see. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these 11-0 seed beads and 1 15-0, and then 5 11-0 seed beads, and 1 fire polish. Sorry, did I say 15-0? Like this. And I'm going to keep going until I have 6 of these fire polish beads on my strand. And basically it's just stringing at this point. We are not doing anything that you could not do with beading wire. And in fact, the rest of this necklace, if you had beading wire that was flexible enough and thin enough, like maybe some extremely fine beading wire, you could do this with beading wire too, instead of with thread. We're doing this with thread, so that's what I am doing. So I'm just going to repeat until I have all of these on here. And I don't know if you noticed, but I laid out my beads a little bit so that I would know what order to put them in. One more. Alright, and now I've got these 5 on here. I'm going to scooch out just a little bit because I don't think you need the close-up for this. I did lay out my beads. I've got my focal over here on the side. Again, in the order that I want it to be. So I'm going to be picking up 5 of these seed beads and then adding my leaf bead, 5 seed beads, adding another fire polish, 5 seed beads. I'm going to keep going until I've added all of these beads on this side of my mat. I'm going to stop after I've put on 5 seed beads and I've added this fire polish that's kind of sitting in the middle. After I've added that, I will come back here and I will continue with you so that we can put together our little focal with these other beads right in the middle. So I will be back after I have strung these on. So I've gone ahead and strung on all of these beads, and they're just on a single strand of beading thread. Don't worry about it not being reinforced yet, because we're going to be going back through this whole thing after we go up the first side. Then we'll come back through the whole thing and just do a little extra reinforcing so you have 2 strands of beading thread holding everything together. But I'm here at the middle of it, and as you can see, I used 4 of the leaf beads, and I just alternated the leaf and some of these fire polish beads, and then when it got closer to the bottom, I alternated with some of these fire polish beads, the larger black and the dichromatic ones that were in the, what is it called? The thing that does the thing. You guys know what I'm talking about. The bead mix, yeah. So I've just gone through this one fire polish bead that was sort of in the middle, and I've got these still waiting over here on the other side for me to go through. Got them all laid out in the order that I want them to be. But right now I want to make my focal using this large sort of nuggety shape bead and these curved beads. Since there were like 2 different colors of here, I've got like this dark blues and then one of them that's the green. I'm going to have the green one be in the middle. And I'm going to switch now from the 11-Ohs, the Tohos that are the metallic rainbow iris, to the navy blue Azukis. I'm going to pick up 1 of the Azuki seed beads, and then I'm going to go through this nugget bead with my thread. There we go. So that there's that 1 seed bead between this bead and the other. And I'm going to pick up 1 Azuki seed bead, go through the side, this 1 hole on this curved bead. I don't know what it's called. It's like a petal. It's like a petal bead. Okay, we're going to call it that. I'm going to pick up another seed bead, go through my next petal bead. I'm going to want to go through the petal beads in the same direction each time I do it so that they are facing the same way when they are strung on here, like that. And then 1 more of the Azuki 11-Ohs, and then go through the hole on the last petal bead. Then pick up 1 more of these Azukis. And here's the super fun part now. I'm going to go back through this bead here. And don't worry about reinforcing this, because again, we're going to be coming back and doing our reinforcing then. So what I'm going to do on this part is I'm just going to go right back with my needle through this bead. I'm going to go through that single Azuki that we put on before, and then through that fire polish bead that we stopped at. There we go. And let me just adjust this so that we're tightening up the right ends. I want that to be next to that. Pull that straight. There we go. So I'm coming up out of that fire polish bead right there after we put those on the bottom. And it's still really loose. I'm not pulling tight. We don't want to snap our thread, although I don't usually have it snap when we're doing this sort of thing. And now I'm going to start up again, going up the second side by picking up my 5 rainbow iris seed beads, and then each of these beads, and just do 5 rainbow iris beads between each one until I have picked up all of these beads that I laid out for this side, and I will rejoin you once I get to the end, and I will show you how we're going to attach one of our closures, and then also how we're going to reverse it and go back, and the fun thing that we're going to do on our way back to add a little bit of extra. So I will rejoin you once I've gotten all of these on here, ending with 5 of these seed beads. Alright, so I have gotten both sides strung. I've got this strung on my beading thread, and now I'm going to be attaching the wire guardians to make a little loop for my closures to attach to, but we'll attach those after we get all of the rest of this done. So let's scooch in so you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. So I'm right here at the end of my wire, and so I'm going to pick up the wire guardian, and the wire guardian has 2 legs. I'm going to go through one leg. It has a little hole in it you can sew through, and it's got this channel at the top that will be where my thread lays across. I'm going to go through the other side of this with my thread. I'm not going to tighten anything up yet. And when I do this, I like to kind of put the wire guardian, pinch it between my fingers, because it helps guide that thread into that channel a little bit better when I do that, because it can hop out of the channel. There's nothing holding it in except for like the curved edges of it. But right here where it's coming out of here, I'm going to pick up 5 of, I'm switching over to the Azuki seed beads, so I'm going to pick up 5 of these Azukis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to go through this fire polish bead and this 11-0 right here, because after we go back down this whole work, we're not going to be coming back up here. So I'm going to do a little thing to reinforce this right here on this end, and we'll reinforce the other end when we do it. So I'm not going to do this very same thing on the other end. See, so now I've got one that is the rainbow iris and one that is the navy. And I said I wanted to go through this 11-0 right here. I'm just going to go through that one 11-0. And this is just going to give me a chance to kind of anchor this and have it go so I can reverse it without undoing all of my work. I'm going to skip that 11-0 and go back up through here and sew up through all of these seed beads and that first leg. Oops. So I'm going through there like that. I'm going to go ahead and pinch the sides again to make sure that my thread doesn't pop out after I've gone back through all of these and that fire polish bead, just the fire polish bead, one more time. So now that that's going in there, let's go ahead and pinch to make sure that the thread goes through or stays in its trough. There we go. So that's going to be reinforced and strunk enough to be able to hold a clasp and hold this necklace. So now I'm going to be going back down my work, and I'm going to be adding 5 11-0s, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into my work, and then I'm skipping all of these other seed beads that are already there. I'm going to skip all of those and just go through my fire polish beads and my leaf beads on my way back down towards the center. Like that. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to just keep adding these, and when I get to the center, we'll go through the focal, and that will reinforce that. We won't be adding any beads to the focal though. But I will show you how I'm reinforcing it once I get down there. Once more, just going through the check glass. So I'll just go through the leaf bead, and I'll just go through that one, and I'll just go through those all the way down to the focal. And when I get down here, I'll join you right back here. Alright, so we're back here. I went ahead and added that extra strand of 11-ohs between each of these larger beads all the way along until we're down here at the bottom. And I've got my 5 here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this fire polish bead, all of the seed beads, my large nuggety bead, and then I'm going to go around my little triplet design down here, back up through here, back through this fire polish bead, and then continue on this way, adding more of these 11-ohs, and then going just through these beads instead. So let's go through the whole thing. Pick it up because it's going to be easier for me to do it that way. Going through both of those and that bead, straight shot. Let's make sure those 5 beads that I added get in there without the thread twisting. So there we go. And then we're going to go around this whole circle. It's just going to reinforce this. Back through that 11-oh and that fire polish bead. Make sure that doesn't get caught on anything. So now that part is reinforced, and I want to go, where you going, buddy? Don't mess up my beads. Okay, so now I'm going to go back up this next side, this first side that I had strung. It's the last side for me to go back up through by picking up my 5 seed beads and then going through my check glass beads. Whoop, where you going, Betty? There we go. And so I'm going to continue this until I get all the way to the end. And then we will add our there we go. I got caught on that. We'll add our second wire guardian when we get all the way here to the end. You see how it just adds that second column. I love the way it looks, and it is so much stronger and a lot less we're gonna fall apart on you, you know. It's so much stronger when you add that second one through and adding that second little line of beads. So we're going to keep going all the way through until we get to the end, and I will show you how to put on that wire guardian for that part. Alright friends, we are nearly done with this necklace. We just have a little bit more to do. I'm going to pick up 5 of these Azuki seed beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I think I'm going to take my bead stopper off right now. And you can see it just slides right off when I pull it. But it kept it from these beads from sliding off when we did that before. I'm just going to put that over my finger and kind of tension that thread so it doesn't go anywhere. And I've got my 5 Azukis over here, and I'm going to go through one leg of my wire guardian. Tighten that up. And then go back down the other leg like this. When I go down that other leg, if I can go through the hole, I'm going to go down through this second strand and through this fire polish bead like that. right up here at the top. Hold on. Got some extra thread that I need to pull through. Alright, let's go ahead and make sure that ends up in that little trough. Okay. And now I want to reinforce this, and I'm going to use this tail thread. This is why I left about 5 or 6 inches of it. Enough to be able to put a second needle on and have it go through this trough, back down through, and go through this fire polish bead here. So I've just got a wide-eye needle here that I'm just going to stick that on because it's super easy and I'm not going to be doing a lot of stuff through it. And usually these are easy to open, but I find they're much easier to open when other people aren't watching me. I don't know if you guys ever have that happen. Just gonna stick that end in. And I'm gonna go through this back down. Wait, no, I need to go through this leg of that because it was just coming out of the seed beads. So I can't skip that leg over here on the side. Let's go up into that, like there. Why? Oh, did I accidentally pierce some thread or something? I did. That's the rough part about this thread. I sewed through the thread that was already there. Okay. There we go. There we go. And there we go. Alright. So that just... Sometimes you've got to do that. Just kind of pull on both ends of the thread until it settles into place. Okay, now I can go back down through this end, through this line of seed beads, and through this fire polish bead. So both of the ends of that thread will be coming out of that fire polish bead. There we go. Now I'm going to go through one of these 11-0s with that needle, and since I didn't take the needle off of this one yet, I'm going to go through this second fire polish bead, just one of them, because I'm going to tie a knot. Take both of my needles off for the knot tying part. Overhand, and then when I do like the second part of an overhand, if you go through the hole twice with your end, it ends up being a surgeon's knot, and that is a little bit more secure. In my feeling, in my opinion, I don't trust my square knots. They're not always the most secure knots that I've ever had, but I do trust a surgeon's knot. Alright, so then you can use a thread burner. Cut this off. I'll go ahead and do burn my ends after the video, because I don't have those. Well, I mean, I've got a lighter. Just gonna burn down those ends real quick. There you go. See how they burn down? Very nice, very demure, very mindful. Alright, let's scooch out just a little bit so you can see the whole thing a little bit better. It's giving down, down, down the road. Have you guys been watching Agatha all along? I love marble shows. And this, it's been actually a really, really fun show to watch. I was a big fan of the Wanda Vision, and Agatha all along is also very, very fun to watch. Alright, let me get some pliers so I can open and close my jump ring and attach those to these loops on the end here. So let's get one of my jump rings open. And once I've got these attached, let's make some earrings to go with it. The earrings won't take nearly as long. And although this did take a little bit of time, it was a fairly quick project. But we have some more fun things in the treasure box to play around with this month. But I really wanted to make my Enchanted Forest necklace. It's very ethereal. Love that. And this is, again, just using beading thread instead of using beading wire to do that. So you just need a needle and some wire guardians and some thread. You can make a necklace with your beads. Really fairly easy, and it's very pretty. Let me move this out of the way. I'm going to make one of these with you, and the other one I will do on my own. But I'm going to be grabbing a few of these seed beads, one of these fire polish beads, and this leaf bead for my little earring. It's going to be a very simple earring. It doesn't need to be fancy. And let's see, do I have, what did I just do with my thread? There it is. Alright, so for this you do not need very much thread, if any. So I'm just going to take, I don't know, 15, 18 inches. I could just pull off an arm's length and use the same thread, because I'm only going to use about half of it for one of the earrings, and I can use the other half for the other earrings, so that will work. You want to use a comfortable amount of thread, and again, it doesn't take very much, so it doesn't have to be a lot. Let's get this on the needle. Sorry, I had to do a boop sound when I booped my thread with my, what is it called? Pliers. There we go. Alright. I'm going to go put one of these guys on here. Actually, let's just do a, I'm going to leave enough to tie. It doesn't need to be something that I weave the end in. But I'm just going to make this bead be a stop bead, and I'm going to make it part of my design, so I'm not going to have to remove it later. But I'm going to go from the top of the leaf down to the point. And that's one of the Azuki beads that I've got there at the top. I'm going to pick up one of my rainbow iris beads, go back through both my leaf bead and the Azuki bead. Come on, buddy. So now that I've got that going, I'm going to go through my fire polish bead, put on 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rainbow iris beads, go through one leg of my wire guardian, go down through the second leg of that same wire guardian, make sure your thread goes into the trough and doesn't skip it. There we go. I'm going to pick up 5 Azuki seed beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to go through the fire polish bead, the Azuki seed bead, the leaf bead. I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom. Go through this Toho seed bead again, back up through everybody, and then whichever side you come up to go back up around the wire guardian, because we're reinforcing at this point. You're going to want to come back down and go through the other side, back through the fire polish bead until we are meeting right next to where the thread, the tail thread is on that first seed bead that we put on, the one that we used as a stop bead that is also part of the design. Alright, so now that those two are together, I'm going to go ahead and tie this off. See, there's plenty of thread for my second one. This is a super simple earring that you can make to go with that necklace. One, two, now I'm just going to attach an ear wire. There we go. It's going to go with our Enchanted Forest necklace that we made. Pretty easy. Alright, well, I'm going to go ahead and let you all go. Let me know if you want to give this a try. And like I said, they sent us the stringing material in the box, so I went ahead and used it for design. Just because we have beading thread doesn't mean it has to be used for bead weaving. We can also use it for stringing as well. Alright, hope you all are having a fantastic weekend, and I will talk with you later. Happy beading!